Good afternoon, guys. It's Snowboarder Mike here with another earnings report for you. This time we're looking at Roku. We're going to look at a few of ways to play this based upon the 13 market moves, some historic analysis, the present chart patterns, and we'll get you guys all lined up for this trade. First thing we're going to look at is pricing into the options right now is a 10% move. We have an average daily trading range on this one of about 10 bucks. And a 10% move would be about $22. And we'll see why they're pricing in something that is actually a little bit smaller than the average move, which would be about 14%. Let's start out, at a higher view on this one. We're going to start with the weekly chart. You can see that we've been traveling in this channel here. Roku's a newer stock, only been out for about 3-4 years. And even with COVID, they didn't get the kind of really large drop down that some of the other stocks got due to COVID, but they did have a little bit of a fall there. You can see here, kind of retested the bottom of the channel. And what we're looking at right now, aside from the strong uptrend, is we have right here, you can see the accumulation distribution. We're not getting a whole lot of accumulation as of late. And that's a little bit concerning for, upward pressure on the stock. And one of the things that we can see here, if we look, and I'll show you this in a moment, we have some overhead resistance. You can see for the last 5 weeks that a level just above where we are, maybe 225, has been overhead resistance. And if we look at the stock in the past, we can see that there's a lot of instances where on a weekly chart, we're going to start getting these tail candles going up, and we're just going to kind of stall out, going all the way back into 2018. So there's one, two, three, four, 5 different times. And what we'll end up seeing is we'll sort of stall out at that level, and then we sort of go down and pop back up and just keep on going. So that's something that we really want to watch out for here. In the analysis, we think that we have some overhead resistance, but with the strength of the market, we're likely to do a gap up. So we'll break that down as we go along in this video. So let's move along right now to the daily breakdown. I'm going to go through and actually annotate the chart for you guys in real time so that we can take a look and see how we can think about exactly where the stock is right now. So let's take a look at that. Okay, guys, let's take a look at the daily chart here. The first thing we're going to do is draw the support and resistance. We're going to use this recent swing high as a support. It was respected on Monday around the 195 mark, 196. And then our recent all-time high actually came in beginning of October, just under 240. So that's going to be, the range that we've been in for the last couple of weeks. And having just bounced off that bottom, we do think that we'll probably end up moving higher. And we're going to base that upon a couple of things. First of all, the 50-day moving average, which is our blue line right here. We've bounced off that several times in the last few months. Look at it, every single time it tends to be support for the stock. Maybe not for long, but at the same time, it does not want to go lower than that. And then you think about the markets the last couple of days, and we've got a lot of strength going on. So, it wouldn't be too hard to push this thing up a little bit higher, especially, markets like to test these big candles. So we would expect it to move up tomorrow, up and over the range. Now, look, you can see right here that we did have this consolidation range. We sprung down. And now we kind of are forming a doji at the moment. This was a black candle earlier today. We'll have to wait and see what Powell says to see what the market does. But I do expect us to gap up into the 230s, maybe 235, 240, before we end up with what will most likely be a short to bounce scenario. And we're going to take a look at some historical analysis and figure out exactly why I say that. But you can kind of see here, just pointing out on the RSI, we found support around 50, maybe a little bit below it. That seems to, be something that the stock does quite a bit. We already mentioned the 50, and then you see here that the MACD is starting to move upward, and we got a same thing with the accumulation distribution. But you also want to notice that we're kind of flatlining here a little bit. So even though we've made this large move up, we don't really have any corresponding accumulation. So this little move up could also be a move down, which would be in support of the thesis of short the bounces tomorrow. So let's take a look at some other charts, and we'll get a better idea of exactly how we want to do this. All right, guys, hopefully that helped you make your way around the daily chart. And we're going to zoom in a little bit now and see how that just comes into today and where we're sitting right now with it. So again, we were looking at that 200 level as the support for the stock. You can see we once tested it, once broke through it just by a little bit on some news that we can talk about in a second. But overall, we've got some strength showing in the MACD. We've got this series of higher lows. Same thing in the RSI. And then, one of the things that the 13 Market Moves members and people who have taken the course will know is this smiley face formation that we see right here. Over the course of several days, we have essentially what is a big move 12. And what that's going to show us is that we're looking to move up in the coming future. So we do have a divergence here on the accumulation distribution. Once again, it's just not picking up despite any moves up in the stock. We just don't see it on multiple time frames that this thing is going to really move upwards. So that's definitely a caution. Now, getting back to that news item, on Tuesday, Walmart announced in conjunction with Comcast that they're going to make their own smart TVs. And I mean, people who are familiar with Roku know this is something that you often will see at a Walmart, on Amazon, something like that. These are lower priced TVs, that level of consumer often will buy. So that definitely could have a pinch on Roku's earnings and things like that going forward. But we don't have a date for that. So you can see how quickly the stock did recover right there. And as of now, we don't think that's going to be a significant impact. But let's take a look real quickly at the recent quarter. So Roku is a newer stock, like we mentioned. There's only 12 quarters of earnings in total. So not a lot to go off here, but we had 7 gap ups and 5 gap downs. So we got a 58% chance of having a gap up here. And this is a stock that is still struggling to make money as they grow. So we have an expected loss of 30 cents a share this quarter. You can see that is slightly better than last quarter, where we had a loss of 35 cents. Now, also something to consider is that they have missed 3 out of the last 4 quarters. Granted, that was COVID, things like that. And, we are seeing most companies beat this quarter, but it is something to keep in mind as we look at what potentially could happen tomorrow and going into next week. So all that said, how are we going to play this? So quickly, just recapping, we have an average trading range of $10 a day. Tomorrow we have an expected move of $22. And we are currently dead in the middle of that range where I think we're at. What we expect for tomorrow is a gap up into the 230s, maybe 235. 235-ish, 240. That should present overhead resistance there at that all-time high. We might want to let this thing run a little bit, peak in the morning, and then we're going to be short in the bounces throughout the day. And as we looked at on that weekly chart, the thing could drop for a little while. So, downside targets are going to be obviously watching our indicators for just short-term bounces and things like that. But the gap, if we do gap up, the bottom of that gap is going to be the first target. The 50-day SMA could be a further target. That's quite a bit farther down there. But, the market has shown a lot of strength over the last week. As we've seen, it's just been ripping. So if we have any kind of reversal tomorrow after the Fed meeting, that is a possibility that we kind of have a sell-off tomorrow. So that's something else to keep in mind. So yeah, guys, I mean, this is what we're planning for tomorrow. So hopefully you guys can make a lot of money, learn the moves. If you guys want to schedule a 20-minute call, there should be a link below. Click on that, schedule a call. These guys are awesome. They're going to help you make money. They're going to help you have fun trading. So yeah, let's do this, guys. Let's rock. Have a good day, and we'll talk soon.